So I think they're ready to call the meeting to order. Motor vehicle. All right.
These are yours.
So we have one Zoom.
Recording in progress.
And the time they'll get all that. So, anybody have any remarks or things to do? Good fall weather today, so we're glad that you are here. We need to look at the minutes for the August 21st, 2024 meeting, and I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the Wednesday, August 21st, 2024 meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, aye. Motion carries. We also need to approve the revenue and expenditures for what, 3 months. So if you want to look at that, there's a tab right behind the minutes. Daniel, do you want to talk about this? Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I mean, briefly, I mean, it's, we're right in line with, where I kind of said we would be after we finished with manufacturer and distributor renewals. I think we'd probably be somewhere in the 325 to 340 range. And see, we're right at almost 339. So, we're right where we're supposed to be after the kind of renewal season's over and, doing well there. And, you know, we don't get into, dealer renewals until December. So we'll start seeing that. So, the January. So, yeah, we're supposed to be there.
Good.
I move we approve the financials.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the financial for revenue and expenditures. Yes, that encompasses. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
So monthly license activity reports since last time. Lexus does a great job with these as always. I think they're all very self-explanatory. We try to break it down as simply as we can for you. She's got it broken down in terms of over that time period. With the submission dashboard by license type for you, just to see how many different submissions that we've had since the last meeting, basically. This is as of, what is this, 10/10, Alexis? So October 10th. So, and that's where, you know, you're seeing on the back here, that's where a lot of that revenue is coming from. And that time frame has kind of gotten us up to that 338, 339 levels. She's also got these license, what we call license activity memos in here for you. Now, Joy sees all these because she's on the chain, but the rest of you don't. These are all of the new dealers that we have licensed basically since the last meeting. We'll see there's a store at Mountain Home in here that's licensed to sell bad boy UTVs. Hirsch Feed and Farm, there's a new store, Funtown RV at Little Rock, which is selling Forest River RVs. They actually, Funtown bought out Kiko's Country RV. So that's where the Kiko's Country RV store was in Bryant. That's Funtown RV now. So they bought them out. And that's why you have later on in the packet, Kiko's Country RV storage, which on their delivering. Rouse Sales and Rentals on Albert Pike and Hot Springs, Bobcat and Intimidator dealer. They bought out Mr. Horn, Dale Horn, Horn's Automotive in Hot Springs. He's been there forever. So that is now Rouse Sales and Rental. He's named. Dino Equipment in Searcy. They're selling the Nago LSVs. He's brand new. I believe Mr. Berkheimer worked for what is it? Tractor, Sherwood Tractor.
Yes.
He worked for Bart. I think he worked for Bart Sherwood for a while. Sherwood Tractor. Now he's got his own business. D3 Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in West Memphis. This is a new dealer. They purchased the Bayard dealership in West Memphis. So they bought him out. Daryl Saul is he's got his own big D3 auto sales dealership, and I think Desart, who's a really big used car dealer, will he's getting into franchise business. He bought Bayard's store in West Memphis. And Links Equipment in Batesville is gonna be a Bobcat dealer in the Batesville area. That used to be Mark Martin Power Sports. Mark Martin has sold his share in that, and now it's Mr. Monroe and Lance Sanders. So now they've rebranded it to Wings Equipment, so they had to get a new license, and they're gonna be the Bobcat dealer in Batesville. So those are your new dealers since last time. I also had Alexis put a report in here showing you guys, now that we're kind of through the end of renewal. This list you're looking at here with the distributors and manufacturers on it is actually the list of distributors and manufacturers that we have left that have not completed renewal cycle. Now, the ones in green, you will note, there's a note at the bottom that says rejected for resubmission. That means they did submit their renewal, they just were missing a few things. So they actually have submitted, we just haven't completed it, so we're trying to get some documents from them. I think Alexis is almost done with Evolution. We had some issues with some dealers that we're gonna have to send our investigators out to talk to probably, because they probably need a license. They've added some new people and just now telling us about it. So that's what's going on there. Town bought Doosan, or should be hopefully get done with their resubmission soon. The rest of them on here, however, are ones that we're still working on to get to renew. Now, some of these we think are gone out of business or just no longer, operational, but there are a couple on here, especially Massimo and there's the other one.
I would assume Mercedes-Benz is still active in Arkansas.
Yeah. What now?
Mercedes-Benz, I believe that's a duplicate license.
Yeah.
Because they did
They
renew
do have a license.
license number D10418 is also theirs. So I'm not sure if it's a duplicate or if they have two branches and they just didn't renew the branches.
We'll have to talk to them about it, but they do have a license currently, so we'll figure out what's going on there. But I think Marty and Alexis have done a lot of digging and figured out that Extreme Outdoors is basically out of business, so we're not going to be getting renewal from them. And then a few of these other folks, I'm not sure if they're still in business, or they may be, and they just may not have any Arkansas dealers, and that's why they're not renewing, but we'll figure that out. But this small list here is all we have left on the manufacturer distributor side of all of them that have not renewed for this year.
Nexus already is still in business.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem. So
The Shadow Trailers, the Shadow Trailers I'm familiar with is horse trailer.
yeah, that's a good point. So we do license a few horse trailer manufacturers if it has a living quarters.
Okay,
So those are the ones that we do license. That they have that, big fancy horse trailers that have living quarters, basically like an RV.
Yeah. yeah, I've got one. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so we do license those, but only those. So yeah, that. And the next list, after that, the voluntary license surrender agreements list, here, that is the remaining ones that we have not been able to get a return voluntary license surrender from. So we've gotten it narrowed down from our huge list to, what is this, 10, Alexis? I think it's 10 total. So that's the remaining ones we have to try to get it surrendered from, basically. So those are all Alexis reports. See if I have any questions about any of those before I go to the investigation plan report. Be the next tab there, the investigation summary. And this
I
is,
do have a question.
yes, sir.
And this is kind of personal because it's in my town and it doesn't have anything to do with the car business, but the new license for Lynx Equipment, which is now the Bobcat dealer, that's what used to be Mark Martin Power Sports. Can they still operate under the name Mark Martin Power Sports, or do they have to change their name? Because that's what's still on the building.
Right, they should be changing, our understanding is they should be changing their signage and their name and everything, DBA to Lynx Equipment.
Okay,
That's what they're supposed to be doing.
okay.
So if they don't, let me know.
Okay.
because,
Well,
I
like I
mean, John will
said,
probably be paying a visit to Batesville again soon anyway, so he's got we'll talk about here in a minute, he's got a visit to Chicago again, but they're supposed to be changing it to Lynx.
Okay.
That's what's on all their papers.
all right, okay,
Their secretary let me know that they were waiting on their sign.
okay.
They have all the same staff and everything, so
yeah.
it's, but that's,
I knew, and I know that, Lance's son, I think is general manager and part of that deal.
Yeah.
And, I just was curious.
Yeah, it's a nice little store there, but,
It's a nice building.
they're supposed to be changing it.
Okay.
That's my.
All right.
The Bobcat. So. Anybody else? No? That moves us to the investigation reports. The first thing you see there is, of course, our wonderful investigator Margie and John's investigation summary reports from the last 2 months. You'll notice they're pretty even this time on investigation activities and dealer visits because, you know, we try to divide up the workload as best we can between the two. So we try to keep it as even as possible. They're both still doing great work. They've both done a good number of dealer visits since last time. And as you see from their report, you know, we're still having some title issues. It's kind of the primary concern, paperwork issues. They've had a few unlicensed dealer issues we took into, and some advertising reviews, as always. We always have advertising reviews going on. And the more detailed reports you get into onto their investigation reports are the complaint reports. Before I get into that, John, I wanted you to just give them a brief update on your conversation with Mr. Holyfield about White River ATV, because that was covered last time. I wanted to know kind of what the plan is with that. So
I called Mr. Holyfield last Monday, talked to him, very upbeat, very nice. He's trying to move his operation. He's still in the process of doing something with his building down here. He's moving down the south side, close to where y'all are at, somewhere. And he said he plans on trying to be there and open by the November 1st. I told him by December 1st, he's trying to bump it up a little bit to get ahead of things.
So he's separating his
Yes.
ATV stuff from the
Yes.
furniture and the other things that he does.
Yeah, I think he's gonna put a building down there, and then he told me he was gonna hire somebody to run it. So, he's a very nice man. He didn't give us any pushback on anything. He was just wanting to get in compliance, so kudos to him.
So I think he's on the right path.
He's making that.
And John is gonna go visit. Sure, everything's on the up and up, and we'll give you guys a full report on that the next meeting. But I think we're gonna get him squared away before we're plan.
Knowing him, I would say that probably when he ventured into that ATV motorcycle thing as a kind of a sideline to his other business, he was probably totally unaware that licensure was even needed.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
I think so. I mean, I think what happened was when he originally licensed, he just kind of, you know, threw together what he thought he needed. There just wasn't, you know, we didn't do an in-person visit. We just kind of took it. So that's a.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, that moves us to the formal complaint list overview here. You'll notice we're up to 22 formal complaints as of today on the year. So we're still well on track to get close to 30, which is generally historically about where we are for most years, is around 30. Around 30 complaints formally. Lex, John, been doing a great job getting these worked through and closed. You'll notice the Bradford Marine ATV one is still pending because, you know, we'll go over that in a minute. But for the most part, we're getting these formal complaints closed out. There are one or two on here that I'm eventually going to have to, the later ones I'm going to have to address ad hoc, that are some of the pending ones that we've kind of done all we can do with. But for the most part, we're really working these things to get close. There's not many openings on here, and John and Margie are doing a great job. You know, working through. So non-formal lists of complaints you see there, same story. John and Margie doing a great job, really great job staying on top of these, getting them working and closed out. Generally speaking, I would say they're usually done with these non-formal complaints within a week. A lot of times it's within a few days, depending on what the issue is. We're up to 87. And maybe, is it more than that now, or just still at 87? So we're up to 87 non-formal complaints on here. So we're probably definitely going to hit that 100 century mark before the year is over on the non-formal complaints. ordinance. There are a few of them on here that are still open. It'll be addressed pretty soon. There's one that will be addressed with this meeting. There's an advertising issue on here that's still open that John's still working on with Sunrise, I know. Trying to think of any of the other open ones that you see that what the deal is with that, because most of them are closed. Extreme Outdoors is pending because we're trying to figure out what we're gonna do with them and why we're ready to be, just went over that. Big Wave Boats, yeah, we may have to deal with that at a later time for the full commission to see. But for the most part, they are really getting these things worked and closed out, and they're doing a great job. The last list you see is the ad review list. And these are ad reviews we do for dealers. We're up to 12 on the year now that Margie and John have done for dealerships. So they're doing a great job with that as well. And all those have been taken care of as far as I'm concerned. We don't have anything pending for any of the ad reviews. So
Most of them realize I need to get that. Cause I got one other day.
did you get a mailer?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say the majority of our
I
dealers
didn't see it.
do a good job of at least asking questions or sending something. We encourage them to. It doesn't always happen. There are a couple of these on the list here that were reviews because we discovered something we need to ask questions about. So it just depends. I mean, if you see something, if any of you see something that's concerning, you can always send it to us. We'll look into it. But yeah, for the most part, everybody does a decent job. We try to stay on top of the website stuff as best we can. But yeah, Margie and John are doing a great job. That's the summary. Does anybody have any questions about any of the investigation or complaints on the report? Let's over the revenue stuff. Just one, I mean, it's all pretty self-explanatory. Reports we've already gone over. So
Yeah. Since I was-
Thank you. We're ready to, unless anybody has any further questions, I think we're ready to move on to Mr. Bynum's report on.
Thank you. Yeah, so, only thing I have on the legal report is a, status update on the Bradford Marine, hearing. We went ahead and rescheduled it to the beginning of the year. Have not heard back on likelihood of settlement, but once again, I think if we were betting people, we would bet on this settling. If it doesn't, we'll just move forward with it. And, you know, we'll have a hearing and that'll basically consist of both sides presenting their case to y'all as the commission and y'all making the decision. And Daniel and I will walk you through that as it goes. Shouldn't be an onerous task necessarily.
And this was the one that you guys at the last meeting reset to January. That's what you want to do. So we have reset it to January 15th, which would be that first meeting date in January. And they have been provided all the notice, all the sides have all the notice of that. So they have plenty of time to figure something out. I mean, we'll see what happens, but.
Yeah, and if they, I guess I could go ahead and ask all this now, your opinion on this. If they come back and they ask for continuance to kick it out any further, what's the commission's desire on that?
I would say no.
Yeah, I don't see why.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't.
this thing's been going on now for a year.
Getting close. It's February, I think, January.
Yeah, I was thinking it was almost a year.
That's good. Then what I'll do is instead of just waiting for them to ask for it, when I follow up with them, I'll say that I spoke with y'all at the last regular meeting. And they said, you know, it's gonna be either y'all resolve it or we're gonna have hearings. Continuances will not be given. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, John. Thank you. You wanna jump down or do you wanna?
Well, I was gonna ask Michael, do you want to cover everything else and see if he shows up?
You know, If you're okay with this, Ms. Blankenship, I have some notes that you can just read off of.
Oh, yeah,
This-
that's
this-
fine with me.
This hearing won't take very long,
Okay,
and I don't think the respondent is here.
okay.
You know, if you have any questions or anything like that, I've done that piece where I can just walk you through it. Your role will be very limited in this.
Perfect.
for the hearing. So if y'all want to just continue, we can continue.
Okay. Is that all right with everybody, since we don't think this will take long, since Mr. Hampson? And we haven't introduced you, so sorry. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm ready, then that can sign the reporter.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us.
Yes, get them in place.
Start going on the record first, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're out.
There's an up and down.
I think that's it.
Yeah, labor, you know, oh, well.
This would be. This way.
Already wait for us.
So that lever pushed it in.
Isn't it you
Right.
want to caution it
Way
this time? Yeah, you can just.
Already
I
Yes,
believe,
sir. Pass it.
I believe we're ready to begin.
do one final check. for
Okay,
you.
I will. Either one's present.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
I call this hearing to order in the matter of TAM Corporation, case number H 25-008. We are on the record. This hearing is governed by the Administrative Procedure Act of the Arkansas Motor Vehicle Commission Act. I need to call the roll for those that are here. So Scott, let's start with you.
Scott Wood. Jimmy Jones.
Gerald Savage.
Michael Johnson.
Joy Blankenship.
Alexis Governor.
Daniel Pace.
Michael Whites.
Margie Sexton.
John Aquilino.
And Margie Sexton.
And Michael Bynum with the Arkansas Attorney General's office.
You have to be physically present, or can you do it in Zoom?
He's good for doing it.
Yeah. We got it. Thank you very much. All right, I need to call the first witness, which would be Mr. Hughes.
We'll go ahead and swear him in,
All right,
and then he and I will have some evidence to
all
submit.
right, I'll do it. Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth and the only truth?
Yes, ma'am.
We have some evidence that we would like to submit to the commission. You all have copies of it.
Clay, Alexis says emailed you a copy. Look at it.
Thank you. I was nice to meet you.
Oh, you got them. And we only did this one too.
see in front of you, there's a packet that is labeled pages 1 through 119. If there is,
Yeah, that's it.
I respectfully submit this as commission's evidence.
Thank you, Jonathan. So we need to look through this. Anything, a lot of this.
Probably, if it's okay, I'll go ahead and go into, my opening statement. And and that'll probably help you all be able to.
Okay,
So-
that would help us, so we won't have to just be fumbling through it. All right, thank you so much. So I will turn it over to you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm happy to give my opening statement. Commissioners, this case against TAN Corporation, we are obligated to bring this case because Arkansas law requires that for any license or permit issued by the commission to be revoked or suspended, that we have to have a hearing before the commission. That includes in situations like this, where a licensee has failed to renew their license. I'm going to call Daniel Pace as a witness. He's going to walk you through the general facts of how we got here. An easy way for you to follow along will be to turn to the end of the packet, starting at page 109, which is the notice of hearing that we issued to Mr. Tam and to the Tam Corporation. What we'll be asking will be for you to take disciplinary action, including revocation of this license. That concludes my opening statement. And if you're okay with it, Ms. Blankenship, I'd like to present the case.
All right.
I call Mr. Daniel Pace as my first and only witness. Daniel, you were sworn in by the chair today.
Yes, that's correct.
Can you, for the record, state your name and your title?
Daniel Pace, I am the director of the Arkansas Motor Vehicle Commission.
And can you please tell us about the TAN Corporation and why we're here today?
So TAM Corporation, doing business as TAM Lev, is a business that we licensed previously as a manufacturer in the state of Arkansas of electric scooters and those type vehicles. They previously were licensed in Virginia when we originally licensed them. Then it was our understanding that Mr. Tam moved his business operations to Russellville, Arkansas. And just at this point in time, he has not renewed his license for the 2023 renewal cycle and now the 2024 renewal cycle. The last time his license was active was in June of 2023. It's been expired since that time. He's accumulated a massive amount of late fees and penalties since that time. My staff has contacted him repeatedly by email and phone, licensed supervisors and investigators to try to get him to renew. He has communicated with us by email and phone and indicated that his, I believe the last substantive communication we had with him was in April and May of 2024 by email and phone, where he indicated that it was his intention to renew his license. However, that has not happened to this date. He still has not renewed his license. My investigators have visited his place of business and his residence in Russellville.
Tell us about that.
So it is our understanding from his dealer in Russellville that he deals products, or he did deal products to, and from his business records with the state and with us, that he moved his business operations to Russellville, Arkansas. He has a registered business location with the Secretary of State in Russellville. He also had a residence in Russellville, an apartment complex that my investigators discovered. So my investigators, through their investigation a couple months back, visited the business address, and they found the building to be basically vacant and no staff, no personnel, certainly no products, and no indication that TAM Corporation was there at all or had been there in some time. They also visited his residence in Russellville and spoke to his wife, confirmed that that was his residence at the time. And she would not accept the letters that they were trying to provide to Mr. Tam at the time, because she said she did not have anything to do with his business. But that was his address. So we were able to confirm those things and that he was there. It's also our understanding from my investigators' investigation that Mr. Tam has not provided all of the products and especially all of the battery components to all of the recent, I believe it was around 50 units he delivered to his dealer in Russellville. So his dealer now has around 50 units sitting in a shop without the batteries that he can't sell. Mr. Tam has not communicated with us in the last few months at all. We have tried everything we can. He won't answer phone calls. He won't respond to emails. He won't respond to letters. And at this point in time, we're not even sure, based on our investigation, that he's even in the state. It's our understanding, at least at this point, that his addresses in Russellville appear to no longer be active.
So his license has been, he hasn't renewed his license in over a year. Does the number of outstanding late fees of $6,300 sound right?
Yes.
Just so we have it clear on the record, can you tell us what type of license he has for the commission?
He currently has an inactive manufacturer's license.
What does that typically give him the authority to do if he has one that's active and good standing?
He has an active and good standing manufacturer's license that he is able to, number one, do business in the state of Arkansas, sell his products in the state of Arkansas through the dealer, within the dealer network, meaning he can sign a franchise agreement with the dealer in Arkansas to sell and distribute his products. He can also enter into agreements with distributors to distribute his products in the state of Arkansas. He has a manufacturer's license.
So even if he kept his license up to date, which for your testimony, he hasn't, based on your analysis of the facts and the investigation by your investigators, he's not even engaging in that really.
Correct.
You said that you notified him. Did you send out the notice of hearing to him and to TAM Corporation?
Yes, we sent it to him personally, to his residence, to his business address, and to all of his known email addresses, both business and personal.
And you've communicated, and in the past, you've communicated with him through those avenues, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the addresses you actually sent them to are the last ones that the commission staff have on record for him.
We sent it to the last known addresses in Russellville that we have on record for Mr. Tam. Yes.
So there's no really any reason to believe that he did not receive the notice of hearing for this meeting today.
No reason.
That concludes any questions I have for the witness. At this time, do any of the commissioners have questions for Mr. Pace? If not, I rest my case and would like to go to a closing statement if that's okay.
Sure, if you want to, we could go on briefly, okay. All right.
Yeah, so again, this was a brief hearing because the facts were pretty clear and the issues pretty narrow. TAM Corporation and Mr. Tam have not renewed their license. They're continuing to accrue late fees. While he's said in the past a couple times that he wants to renew, he hasn't renewed. It doesn't look like he's operating. It's probably, I would say it's in the best interest of the commission, Mr. Tam, and the industry that if there's a manufacturer's license out there hanging out that's not in good standing, there's really no effort by the licensee to renew it and get it in good standing or communicate or show up and kind of explain his side of the story. That is probably best that the commission revokes that license. If he wishes to engage in this type of work again, he can come back to the commission and reapply for a license. uh, uh, as Daniel said, he and staff made every opportunity and applied with every part of the law to give him notice. There's no reason to believe he's not aware of this hearing. And in fact, it is overwhelmingly likely that he is aware of this hearing. And with that, there's no more information or arguments for me to provide. You'll now go into deliberations, which will be on the record. And you'll determine what to do with his license. Once you have done that, all you'll need to do is just give a vote as to what your decision is. My recommendation is to revoke his license. And I believe that is the recommendation of staff according to the hearing as well. Thank you.
Okay, I'll open up the vote for.
The only question I have is, how does that affect the dealer with 50 units? Does that affect his ability to be able to legally sell those for something different?
No, not as far as our concern because of the situation. I don't know, I mean, obviously he doesn't have all the components, so I don't know how it's going to work for him, but no, not as far as we're concerned.
That's the only question I have.
As a follow-up to Michael's question, could he like sell that stuff for salvage if he wanted to?
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
So he could dispose of it in some way and get maybe pennies on the dollar, but get something for it. But he couldn't sell it retail.
correct. Yeah, I would think so. Whether he chooses to do that or not, it's an open
Yeah,
question.
that's. And the other question that I had, when it comes to these late fees, if Mr. Tan came back to us and wanted to, as our attorney has said, wanted to get another license and get in good standing, he'd still have to pay these late fees and all of the fees that he's accumulated.
I think that would be an open question depending upon what kind of license he's applying for. And I mean, probably not because it would be a new license. But we would have to explore that at the time. If it's there's a lot of variables there, but probably not, especially if it's 3 or 4 years later. I'm not sure we can really do that just based on my reading of it. To be honest.
If we determine that we're going to revoke the license, does that absolve him of any responsibility to pay any of these late fees? Or could the commission continue to try to collect the money?
I mean, yeah, we can continue.
And as a follow-up to that, you may or may not be able to answer this. Does the state have any, will the state pursue legal action against him for his failure to provide the components to the previous dealer and his failure to pay the late fees?
I can answer that. That's gonna be a commission decision. And what would be open to you in terms of, that's probably something that will need to be discussed with the Department of Labor. Because they would probably they either have something in place for that, and if they don't, they'll probably have an opinion.
Can I say one thing about future applications? The bottom line is this: if this license is revoked and he comes back in the future, he's going to have to come back to all of you and basically justify, in his application and provide enough to you for you to grant him the license. I mean, it's not in our statute. If you actually read it, it's not like you just apply and the commission just grants your license no matter what. I mean, there are questions you can ask to determine that he's in good standing and that he's providing everything, all the information the commission deems is necessary for him to get a license. So there are additional questions that we ask of someone like this in the future.
Does that include some kind of bond?
It might, one thing you could also do if you decide to revoke his license, you may make it a condition upon him getting a new license to pay his like.
I was gonna say to y'all, but you don't need to.
The state law would.
We'll review your new application and you pay your late fees.
So to go one step further on that, just my question would be, did the Virginia Motor Vehicle Commission have the same issue with the reason it came here? Is there any, just revoking his license, is that a record? Do other states, motor vehicle commissions have any way of knowing that we did that? I mean, if the state went after him and got a judgment against him, I think that would be a record and might help prevent him going to another state and doing the same thing he's done here. Assuming that we feel that this was intentional.
I will say that any order that the commission enters, which if you guys make that decision, there will be an order written up by Michael that will be entered on the record. That is going to be posted on our website publicly. And we can certainly share it with somebody if they ask, but it's not standard practice for us to just send it out to all manner of offices done and take your collection. But it is publicly posted because that's required. So, you know. After that.
So I will need a motion for this. Do you all want to discuss what you feel about the fines and all that? Can we go off record in this?
Yes. So since we've got all those kind of clarifying questions out of the way, we can go off record after deliberations. In order to do the vote, we'll need to come back on record.
So I need a motion to go off the record.
I make a motion to go off the record.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we go off the record to discuss the issue. So I open the floor for discussion. What we'll do is we'll vote on what we decide, then we'll go back and then we will formally say.
I would certainly be in favor of requiring him to pay his late fees and be in good standing
In order to be.
in order to reapply to this.
Me too.
I believe that's the direction we need to go.
Okay.
Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can put that in order, right?
Yeah.
As a condition.
Yeah, they vote on that. That's what we do.
If I remember correctly from a previous meeting, he had asked for late fees to be
Well,
waived, and we had, as a commission, had voted or decided unanimously that shouldn't be the case, that the law was the law.
And since we're off the record, is there anything that dealer that's actually got us a pretty heavy financial loss? Can they pursue civil or legal against him?
no, we can.
We probably can't. It's something we could probably discuss afterwards once we.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not part of, okay.
Understood.
Sorry,
Thank
the
you.
legal part of me.
I'm just saying, I'm just sitting here listening. He gets, if we revoke his license, what all's happened? To me, he's getting a pretty good deal.
Yeah, we're not-
You get punched, but.
That's not what we're here to decide.
No, we're not.
Sorry, thank you.
That's it.
So when I'm gonna ask for off the record, right? Like.
Yeah, you can
make a
decide.
motion,
Yeah, you can craft a motion and all that.
we
stuff.
wanna craft the motion that we need to do, so I would, if anybody knows how to do that, we have to find that the allegations of fact are proven true. That the court has proven that, and that we revoke the license for Mr. Ham. And then probably in the motion, we need to say, y'all need to say that, and he needs to ever go back and get a license with Arkansas Motor Vehicle, he'd have to pay the $6,000. Is that, did I do all that right?
That's perfect.
Okay. Correct, all the late fees and penalties that maybe not say, but have to say the late fees and penalties, we won't say a number, because we might have to be more dollars. Well, it's been another week. So I need to, are you all good with that?
Yes.
I need a motion to go back on record.
I mean, we go back on the record.
Moved and seconded that we go back on the record for this hearing. I need a motion.
I make a motion that we look Mr. Clamp's license pursuant to the finding that the evidence presented in this case was true. And furthermore, that any reapplication of the motor vehicle commission would be subject to his first paying all late and any applicable fees at that point.
Very good.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we revoke Mr. Tim's license number 1036-4M. And it has been proven true, the allegations F1 through F5 have been proven true. And that we, if Mr. Tam comes back to us to ask to pay these fees or be a part of motor vehicle, that he will have to pay all the late fees and fines until that, when we revoke this license. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
What I will do is I will draft the order for the chair's signature, or it'll be Daniel's signature, whichever one is required. And Mr. Tam will have 30 days from the receipt of it to appeal to circuit court. And if he wants to do that, that would be the end of this matter. And if there's no objection to it, I'd recommend that the hearing be closed and we conclude the record. Motion to close.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we close the hearing. Tam Corporation versus Motor Vehicle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay. We'll go back to our.
Very much.
Nick, the joy I take fall on you to be here and not for something.
Man, I can just see Mr. Cole, whatever his name was. He was very formal. Okay. Item 8, action discussions, voluntary license surrender agreement list. There are 13 new. I'd like for you all to look at those and provide motion. Do we need to talk about any of that?
Unless anybody has any questions, we can do what we always have done in the previous meetings, just do an action motion. We'll start about all, unless somebody has a specific question.
Motion to approve all of them.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the voluntary license surrender agreement list for 1 through 13. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay.
All right.
Third grant, no grant.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have something in here on that?
Yes, it's in the very back. So after the action discussion section starts, it's going to be section B. You pull those tabs. And it starts with the report. So to start out with, this is the report on the grants that you guys funded for fiscal year 2024, all 11 applicants and all the funding amounts and the amounts that they have received. Okay, just as your guiding point. This is also the report that was submitted per our statute by our legal counsel here and myself to Arkansas Legislative Council. They have a meeting this Friday that I have to go attend and answer any questions they have about the report. There should be anything. This is what they have to do. So that was submitted. do that once a year. That's your guiding light on all of these applications. Accounting report 1 was due, by September 8th. All of the programs, all 11 did turn in. Some of them you will note have more supporting documents than others. You'll see some of them provided their invoices and purchase orders, but all of them did provide an accounting report.
They feel like we need to ask them all to do that. Sorry.
We try to get them to do that.
Well, I know, but it's part of what they're agreeing. Make them sign an agreement that will do that.
So they did all,
It's part of the policy. I'm sorry, it's just,
they did all turn in a report. And once everybody has a chance to review those, I do have a couple requests from 2 of the programs that I'll get into. Once everybody has a chance to go through and review the reports, if you haven't already. We have a request from Cabot High School, a request from Mr. PG at West Technical Institute, excess funds they have left over. You guys need that approved and authorized. I'll explain it in a minute.
and there have been years, I will tell you all, that this waste will be double. If we've had a hard time, we just finally just had to divide it like we did this, so they didn't get quite what they asked, but. So this is, these people have received a nice sum of money, to be able to do things, which is a great thing. Many of you all know that sometimes we haven't been able to fund quite as kids, and which is very needed in all these folks. I'm not saying that, we need some new things.
I think we got put it away from having a ceremony or whatever.
Yes. I think we have. It's a good. It changed when that changed, when they took it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Nice to meet y'all.
Thank you.
Yep, I think we're ready. Put it in
Everybody-
there to do.
Everybody had a chance. So, Cabot High School, which I believe, what number is that? 5,
2, 4.
number 4. 4 high school, so, Nicole and Mr. Reynolds from Cabot High School have basically purchased, their brake training system, their gear wrench tool sets. And basically that amounted to around 25,642.93 based on what you said yesterday. So as you'll notice, if you look at the report, you actually funded them a total of $27,000, right? So they have a little bit, yes, they have a little bit of excess in funds. And they are basically requesting the email she sent yesterday. That, their initial application was to cover the brake training simulators and toolbox sets. They want the commission's approval to purchase multimeter test kits and circuit test multimeter kits, basically with the remaining funds they have left over. The purchases for the brake training simulator and the toolbox sets basically got them up to that 25,642. So they have a little bit left over. So
Is there precedent for that?
yes, yeah, it's been done in the past. It was a couple of years ago saying that somebody asked for if they could use their excess fund for something else. But basically it's our funding provided to them, you provide it to them, so you have to approve for them to use it for something beyond what was in the original application, if that makes sense. So that's why they're,
Or what they're wanting doesn't exceed what they have?
No, just
they're
excess.
They're
funds.
just asking to spend the remaining funds they have left over on something that was beyond what was the original ask in the application. It's still, they're still training test kits. I mean, it's not,
Mhm.
but that's up to you. And once you decide to approve that, well, I'll just go back and tell them, yes, use it on kits.
So that's something we need to make a motion for.
Yes.
So I would make a motion that we approve that high school should spend those remaining funds on the test kits that they indicating. I'll say.
This is what they're talking about. That's around for this.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the, excess funds that Kevin Pop had as their test kits. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Very much. And then we have an additional one from Tony Peachy. He's the instructor of the medium heavy duty truck technology at Northwestern Tech Institute, which that will be Rosetta with this 24001. So he's the first one on the list, Mr. Peachy. And I did talk to him earlier this week. And he put his request in his accounting. So if you go to his accounting, the first one that's on the bill there, he put his specific request in there, and to his credit, he was very detailed with his accounting report. So, but if you see his note at the end there, they have a surplus of $393.41, and he found some battery chargers cheaper on Amazon, so he went ahead and used that. So they're basically asking, can they use the remaining balance of $393.41 to be spent on the needs of the program for the training supplies? And that's all they have left over, very small amount, but
I move we approve the expend the 393.41 expenditure for other training supplies.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we give Mr. Peachy Northwest Technical Institute $390. Be able to use the $393.41 for other technical supplies. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
thank you very much. I appreciate that. And as I said, I'll be at Legislative Council on Friday to present the report. We'll see if they have any questions on
Danielle did well. This is your first
the
foray.
budget committee.
Yeah. It's not a easy thing to do, actually. You go, I've sat there, I haven't said a word. Sandy did it 2 times. I had to go with them, just back them up, because they said you have to be there, so I was there. And I experienced, I was delighted. I knew you could handle it. So anyway, I applaud you. So when you go back, it'll be just as easy.
So I think it'll be fine. But yes, we did get through budget committee. Budget's pretty flat.
And those are those old times I've had to sit through, and I have to next week, even though I'm not the director of downtown anymore, I'm the one that's going to have to go present the budget. And they're like, whoa, it's just, it's fine, but then they start bombarding you sometimes with questions, and they didn't really do that to you, did they?
Not this time.
Yeah, you're right. So maybe this time though, they're gonna. So you'll present more, you've done the grant stuff, right? So we got past that, and we really didn't ask to take that over. I mean, it's working, so we're making it along.
We're making.
Yeah. So at first, because when we got that, we thought, we were not happy. So that's when I went, actually. I do remember that now. Not liking what they were doing.
We've got some plans for that. We'll see what happens.
Yes, it's like we're just biding our time. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, now, are you through?
Yes, ma'am. All right, done.
Okay, we go to C. This is gonna take a little minute here. Just talking about it. So when the investigators went, did y'all kind of prepare? What happened? When the investigators got our tractor supplier, did y'all just go visit with them about it? I'm kind of turning the floor over to y'all for a second before you, Daniel.
We went, John and I went to 24 locations.
There were a lot. Y'all saw
Yes,
that
there
on
were
the
24
list.
locations. He went to northern part of the state. I went to central and southern.
Okay.
And we went in there to see if they had the products, which they did.
All right.
We did not announce who we were.
Okay.
We took pictures.
Yeah.
And brought it back to the office.
Okay. That's what you're supposed to do, so. Then,
So what you have in front of you is a copy of the letter, that the official letter that the commission sent out. as instructed by you at the last meeting to Tractor Supply's corporate office. Michael and I worked on this for a while, crafted it, and honed it down to this. It was a lot longer to start with, but we started out with this to try to see if we could facilitate a dialogue with their corporate office to try to hopefully, work this out. This was sent out last week. It was sent out by certified mail, standard mail, and I emailed it to their corporate office as well, to their licensing folks, corporate folks. So they have a copy of this by now. They have 10 business days to respond to the commission on this issue, and we'll see what that response is or not. And Michael and I have discussed it at length, and basically our plan is at this point, we're giving them every opportunity with this letter to respond and hopefully call me. We just kind of talk through it and try to figure something out. But if they don't respond, then we're probably gonna, follow up with more.
We've got a longer,
Letter.
we've got a longer and more more comprehensive letter that we're just not working on. That we're gonna fire.
That's already in the wings. So we'll see what happens, but that's kind of the plan at this point. But obviously they need to respond to the commission on this issue. And if they don't, then just go full there. But at this point, that this was sent out last week, I can tell you I haven't gotten a phone call or an email from anybody. So. For Tractor Supply.
So, okay, so this was sent to the biggest guys, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so, I suppose
You've given them till the 20th, correct?
I was gonna say,
10
right,
business
we'll
days.
see what they do. So do we need to direct you to next? Read what you said, since,
No, since it's just similar to what you asked us to do before,
okay,
we'll just fire off that second letter.
okay.
We can.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Will they have to buy a retail license for all 24 of their stores?
You betcha.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's what our law is very clear on. You have to have a license for each specific location that you're gonna sell these products.
Yeah,
That's
so
what all the other businesses and dealerships here in the state.
They're not a distributor, and they're a retail seller of these items.
That is correct. They have a. Be diplomatic about this. They have a store in Mountain Home that we currently license as a franchise dealership. So they are very much aware of how this is
Interesting.
supposed to work.
Yeah, also, and it kind of.
One out of 25.
They
or
bought
24?
an old porcelain farm store in Mountain Home that was already set up as a franchise dealership. And they're currently operating that under an active license. And they have a repair and service shop. So, yes, that's how it would work. They have to have a license for each location.
Will they have to have a repair shop for each location, or can
That's what
they?
the laws, that's what the law rules say. Yes, sir. That is the current statute.
Can they, and I think John mentioned this earlier, can they have a third party designate as their repair shop?
No, they cannot. That is not in our rules of law anywhere currently. It states that in order to be a new franchise dealer, you have to have an on-site service area, 120 square feet. Right?
Yes.
120 square feet. That's not much.
It's 10.
Very, very minimal. But you have to have it on-site, and there is no off-site third party. That's not part of the statute. It's not part of the rule for facility requirements to be actually bring it, which I believe, excuse me, I believe we actually have in the back with, as I said, previous meeting, we're gonna have these rules and statutes that are relevant in the back for you guys all times. Rule 4 is in the back. You ever want to reference that, but this is our facility requirements rule that the commission has, and it clearly lays out what all the requirements are. All new franchise dealers, right? And as you can see on there, service and parts area, dedicated service and parts area inside the building, minimum 120 square feet of area. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, 3 days a week, 4 hours a day, that's not
Not much.
too stringent.
Not much. So again, very minimal requirements there to meet.
Tractor Supply has, I think, 39 locations in the state of Arkansas.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that question.
And not all of them have the ATVs.
That is
I
correct.
don't think.
I think Batesville does.
But if we're just doing,
I've been to the one in Batesville and Newport.
if we're just taking, as we,
Ford has some gas on it.
yeah, as we discussed, we're just taking a cross section though.
It's fairly new.
39 locations in the state. This year, this is 24, 21 others one. At LSVs or mini bikes, so.
Yeah, after the last meeting, the Bible. Tractor
I would have thought.
They're getting tested.
Oh, yeah, I said, oh, God, I gotta get fixed. Wow.
Still not fast.
So,
We don't have anything to do with lawnmowers.
no, we don't. That's actually,
Cause lawnmowers,
It's riding along, we'll get
Yeah.
if you actually look at Rule 5, which is our limitations. So, one of the things that is exempt is lawnmowers,
Okay,
along with airplanes and trains. You know, and the marks and stuff.
okay.
Among other things.
they're ones.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions on that?
So we're just, it's a, we'll figure it, we'll find out.
We are in the process of addressing it and we will report back to you when we have more substantive information, but the letter has been sent and we're kind of waiting to see what the response is. So far, no response. So that's the report on that at this point.
They've got, the 24th.
24.
Respond, correct.
Okay, next one. Are you certain, is everybody? ready for that? D, Marlon Wells versus Crane. I think there's a letter there.
There is, the last thing in the packet is a letter from Crane Automotive Group. So this letter is in response to our last meeting. I think Clay and Joy were the ones that kind of shepherded the motion about, let's go have a meeting with Crane Corporate about the title issues. So I'll explain the letter in a minute, but I'm gonna let Margie and John just kind of explain to you guys their meeting, because they are the ones that went and met with Chandler and Chase at the corporate office, the new Crane corporate office. So why don't y'all give them a brief spiel about their meeting, and then I'll go into the letter.
Well, Margie and I went to Crane Corporate Headquarters, which is at National Circle on the 28th of August. Met with Chandler Rackley, who is their chief financial officer, and Chase Bosshart, who is their chief title clerk there. Good meeting, great guys. We just went in there and laid it on the line. I mean, some of you know me, some of you don't. We were very professional, but I went in there and laid it all on the line, just cut to the chase and told them what the problem was and that the commission had tasked us to come to them to sit down and meet and come up with a solution to the multitude of title complaints that we had received over the last couple of years from Crane. And they were very receptive to it. You know, there wasn't a whole lot that they could say other than that since Chandler had taken over in his role, that he was striving to improve their relationships with their customers and the delivery of the titles. You know, we expressed our concern that the complaints that come to us, that there's a communication breakdown between the dealers and the customers. And that by the time they come to the Motor Vehicle Commission for relief, they're pretty angry and they want something done. So and it's the same pattern of behavior. The customer leaves the dealership, they wait however many weeks or whatever it is to receive their title, they don't get it. So they start calling the dealer and they'll talk to various people at the dealership. Then they stop taking their calls. Well, then that's when they come to the commission for relief. And Chandler and Chase have both been very helpful to us over the last several weeks since we've been here, because we had a couple more complaints and they have really stepped up their game. As soon as they get an email, they're generally on it and are making concerted efforts to do what they're doing. So this letter, when we went there, that was our main concern, was the communication with the customers. That We felt like if they're communicating with the customers more and keeping them in the loop, that we felt like these complaints would more than likely start dropping off if they'll follow through and have their dealerships follow through with their customers. So.
The legislature moved the registration time out to 60 days, which, my goodness, if you can't get it done by then, I don't know what you're gonna do.
I think a lot of their problems, they've had some anomalies in there with some of these titles. Just strange things that normally, that most dealers, Scott, you would understand. Most of the time you can get a lien release or something within a few weeks. You know, they've had problems getting lien releases. They've had problems getting titles from the Indian nations in Oklahoma and various other things. So
I
a
know
lot of
that
these are just anomalies that have just kind of built up.
starting with the pandemic, a lot of these issues have elongated in terms of being able to get lien releases, titles, other things when you pay something off. I don't know why. It didn't used to be that way, but it's like some of these banks and others have taken liberty with the situation and are not as responsive as they ought to be, which puts the dealer in a bad spot.
And
But by the
that's
same token, you got to communicate with your customer.
exactly, and that's where our take was on it. We understand that the dealers, they're at bay from the lien holders, and out-of-state titles or lost titles and things take time. Revenue is a factor in all of that.
Mhm.
And so they've outlined a pretty good plan to alleviate. the
Yeah, I agree. I read it in our early, when you all set the meeting information out, and I believe that they're on the right track. If everybody would do this,
Yeah, thanks, John.
it wouldn't be anymore.
So,
We'll hold on to this because it's a great letter and I mean, what.
Yeah.
Would be good and then.
this is the,
ADA.
you guys, this is the action plan that Chandler provided per your request. And I will say, John and Mark did have a great meeting with him, and just since that meeting, I think Chandler and Jace, especially at the corporate office, have been very open and communicative with us, and just, on it whenever John or Margie call them, so I'll commend them for that. But yes, they did provide the comprehensive plan that you asked for point by point, and that's kind of their goal going forward. I'm not gonna keep read it, but basically they have addressed all of the main issues that we identified and said, look, this is what you guys need to work on. And I think John is right. I think, just from what we've seen, the title issues, but I think the compounding issue on top of that was really their customer service issues at some of the dealerships that they're having some problems with. I think and some of that may just be staffing, turnover and whatnot, but I think if they address that, that would probably take care of some of the complaints, because I've been in this, long enough between the AG's office and here to tell you, the biggest thing that people get frustrated about is when you don't call them back, and you don't communicate with them, and that just makes people mad, because they don't think you listen to them, and they don't think you're calling it through. So I think that's the biggest part of their problem, what I see, honestly. And if they can keep going with this and focus on that, I think that would probably alleviate a lot of it. But John and Mark, you're going to stay on top of it. But I did want you guys to see this, because this is what you asked for last time, and they did provide it after we met. So
I guess follow up the lead. Marty, like, come back and say thank you.
I've already, I sent them personally.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any other questions?
Any other discussion, things going on with you all, with your group?
Say one thing.
Well, shall we go down there? Yes.
I just want to say you guys have been great working with this year, and I really enjoyed working with you. This is going to be our final meeting this year until January. I just want to put that on the, we're not having a meeting next month. November's hard to ever have a meeting. And not in December either, because I told a few people, but my baby girl is due in December. Well, like, we're not having a baby, she's a baby girl, she's due December, actually kind of around my birthday.
So maybe it'll happen on your birthday.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll see, but anyways, I say that to say, the December, I'm gonna be kind of hard to reach, so we're not having.
We got it. So you're gonna be a good daddy. We'll let you off.
Well, you know, if that happens on your birthday gifts are over.
That's right.
That's okay.
That's right.
That's okay.
No, that's the birthday gift right there.
Right.
But yeah, obviously,
That's
you know,
right.
I'll be out for a lot of December, but Alexis and Margie and John will still be around, so. And I mean, you guys can always call me, but yeah, I won't be in the office for at least the last half of December.
We understand.
We're not having-
Congratulations.
Yes.
And to the staff at the end, thank you all for, on behalf of us, it's a pleasure to work with you. You've done a wonderful job and makes our lives easier to the way we do. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. Well, I need a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
And they can say that we already did it in the budget. Arkansas Motor Old School, City Hall. All in favor, say aye. There we go.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Clay.
Thanks,
See you, Clay.
Thank you.
Where's Jamie?